Okay, so I've been working on 4.16. I had the plugin compatible with it on day one, but I wanted to add some new features. I tend to with every big major branch increase, and I thought I would offer more examples of different things that you could do with the grip system, and not with the grip system, but with the grip system systems, I guess I could say. Don't mind these black spheres. Rendering of debug objects is currently broken in 4.16, and in VR you get these ghosted shadow outlines of them. It's annoying, but they had the same thing in 4.13 and they fixed it before release, so I'm assuming they'll do it here. First things first, I decided today to try to make a console rendering system for VR. It's not what ideal. I'd rather have a output log render, which I'm going to look into next if there's any possible way I can do that other than loading the log, which I don't want to do. But I made this button and I'm using a little electrical interface with one function. And when I press the button, it sends a current state change to this, and this is like, oh, electricity, I'll turn on. And it starts rendering the console. And this is live, so if you were typing into the keyboard and you say like put VR dot, it'd pop up with the autocomplete and the ghosted what you should type, and it would enter it in when you're done with it there. Things that you print to log that also print the console will show up in here. And if you had a VR keyboard set up like that Steam VR keyboard that I implemented, you could pass the output of that into the input for this and just use the console in VR. So I mean, it's useful. I guess I'll do this too. I completely changed how secondary grips work as far as how you declare them now. Now they're an enum instead of beacon have secondary grip. It's an enum defining what kind of secondary grip I should be able to have. So I changed the blueprints around a little bit to support that. A secondary grip of none means that it can't have a secondary grip. It just won't do it. The function to add a secondary grip will return, and in blueprints, I don't even call it add secondary grip function because it shouldn't be calling it anyways. Secondary grip free grip is just free. It's SG underscore free. Is you can secondary grip it anywhere on the object, and it'll work. So like this, I'm gripping it at any point and translating it. It doesn't care where I'm gripping it. I turned off lerping for scaling secondary grips because it's currently a little buggy scaling. I just started working on today, so don't worry about it. The next one is free with scaling, and that is you can grip it anywhere for the secondary grip, however you want, and it does the scaling based off the distance from the controllers from where they started at. The reason this is buggy currently is to get to work with multiplayer. I don't want to set the relative transform from the controller every frame for it because that will replicate from the server down, which will jitter on the client side or be laggy for them, and also will be a huge replication overhead. So I'm trying to figure out a different way of doing it. For now, it's just setting it on the world transform that it creates. So if you let go, it'll snap back to its first position, but if you let go of the entire grip, it'll retain the new size. So I'm gonna work on that and iterate more over it as I go. But I mean, it's already useful for this because I didn't want that big console screen up here, which was what, like that big? No, that was actually bigger than that, but whatever. You also won't be able to scale physics objects currently. I need to think about that because you're not really supposed to. So I'll put some work into it. Climbing mode. Run in place. Okay, so we'll run over here and put that there. The other secondary grip type is socket only, which means that only if you've selected a socket will it allow you to double grip. Not only if you've selected a socket, only if you've if it's over a secondary grip socket will it let you double grip. So you'll let you double grip up here because I have a socket for it, but back here you can't because it doesn't. This way I can keep the gun working as it currently does, but have free non-sockety grips for like the console and everything. And then there's a socket grip with scaling too. Let's get this to something I don't have to think about. Okay. Oh yeah, I changed the mirror over to a button too because I didn't like the whole overlap box that was going on. So now you just turn the mirror on with a button and then you turn it back off again. Okay, over here. I set up an invisible actor here. You can't see because I didn't attach anything to it. That accepts input from this button and loops through a varied array of console commands to show off this console. Let me make this a little bigger. Okay, so first one is just VR dot, and it shows that the autofill works and it just renders like the normal console. When you turn the button off, it clears the text in the command line, and it just loops through different console commands. So it's useful. Also, since you can print a log and print the console, I have this lever printing values to the console based on its current state. So you can do it like that. And over here, this, by the way, is a physics grip. I could have done it by custom grip or something, but I like physics grips when possible. They just feel realistic, you know? So that's how I did it. And when you let go, it lerps back to its 0 position. And you can set that. There's configured variables for this to change all the properties of it, like what rotation it starts at, how far it can go, the speed of lerping back and forth, stuff like that. You can also have it go back with a physics constraint drive, but it's a little bouncy at the end when it gets to the back here, and I didn't want to mess with the values too much, so I just did a lerp on let go. And the buttons are overlap, so it's not an actual grip, it's just overlap of the controller sphere here, and it offsets the button by the overlap difference from initial to end, and when it bottoms out, it switches the button state, and when you're no longer overlapped, it lerps back to its initial position. All of these I have tick off by default. Some don't ever have tick on, and some turn their tick on when you're interacting with them and then turn it back off again, which is, that's what you should be doing with them. This one, I wanted to show two different types of grip in a single object. So there's a Boolean that you can set, and the first setting is slider, and that's like a record player. You grab it and you just twirl it around like that. And it's currently set to non-slider. It's set to lock to angle or something like that. I don't remember I named it. And this one, oh no, lock to angle is used for both, but this one's set to wrist twist. And wrist twist is a custom grip because I wanted to show off how to do a custom grip. And it just records what the controller initial roll is and then takes the difference and adds it to the dial as over time. So there's variables to customize this, and it shows off how to do a custom grip and initialize it and handle it on ticks. So not on the object tick, by the way. I have tick entirely off of this. There's a custom grip tick that passes in relevant variables for you, and that's what I'm using to control this. So grip tick's useful. Shrink this down. Take it with me. I've been working on replication a lot recently because somebody was doing some pretty hefty replication overhead. Oh, you can't even read that. There we go. So I added a secondary replication for the controllers in HMD that if you go into their network settings on the component it has, and you can switch between net 100 and net 10. Net 100 is 2 decimal precision, and net 10 is 1 decimal precision. Net 10 actually looks pretty good, especially with smoothing enabled, but default's still net 100. If you're not running into bandwidth issues, I'd leave it on net 100 just to be safe. But net 10 will save on bandwidth. I had a custom replication that was even more stringent, but it barely made a difference, and it required me to add another bit to the replicated struct, and that kind of it wasn't worth the extra bit for how little it was saving over the defaults. So I just took it out. It doesn't matter. I'm going through all the structures and making them more efficient to replicate as I think is possible currently. So I guess next thing is I'm going to add more of those interactables as examples. I'm not saying they're the best thing ever. Most of them I'm putting together in an hour and just leaving them like that unless I think of something wrong. But it's at least a test case or a test example of how to do something. And then I want to try to get the output logged to render like this. I'm not sure it's possible without directly sampling it, which I don't want to do, but I'm going to try anyways. And I have more replication work to do. But I don't know. I think the plugin's in a pretty good state for 4.16. I should have it nice and stable by release with a decent amount of new features. So, I don't know.